about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
We're not ashamed of where we're from.
Right out of Campton, it's a crazy brother named Ice Cube.
It's crazy in Compton and it's ghetto, but this is where we're from. This is what we're going to talk about.
This is the autobiography of the E.
They came out of the ghetto and called themselves niggas with attitude.
Yeah, straight out of Compton.
They wanted to shock white middle-class America into seeing what the problems in our inner cities were really like.
The stereotype is all young blacks that dress a certain way as gangbangers, and it's unjust.
The N.W.A. was a voice for the voiceless.
It was a voice like, you know, this is L.A., this is where we're from, this is what we're about.
Here's a little something about a nigga like me. Never should have been let out the penitentiary.
And with that voice, they said to the world, I don't give a
You don't like how I'm living, well, you.
It was this aggressive, nihilistic, black militant rage.
Yo, tell them what they yelling.
With a message inspired by crack, gangs, and gunfire, N.W.A. pushed a new kind of black power into pop music.
Not a role model or a Dr. Seuss, yo, I'm a gangster, and I'm about to get stupid.
They're just thugs and hoodlums, and they just want to, you know, say whatever they want to say and get away with it.
I just gotta keep cursing.
They were condemned as obscene
This is nothing but filth.
and targeted by the FBI.
We caught the attention of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. They wanted to shut them down.
Nothing could stop the onslaught of N.W.A.'s gangster rap.
They were the ones that exposed police brutality to the mainstream.
And their warnings could no longer be denied.
With every revolution, you got violence.
When they exploded in an urban nightmare.
The group really, foretold the LA riots in '92.
The country can be shut down.
Why do I call myself a nigga, you ask me? Because police always want to harass me.
This is the story of N.W.A., the world's most dangerous group.
The wretched of the earth, those at the lowest rung, the niggas, are now on the mic.
Yo, cause I'm a nigga for life.
Everybody better pay attention to what they have to say.
The world's most dangerous. The world's most dangerous. The world's most dangerous group.
Compton, California, the mid-'80s. Crack cocaine has invaded, sparking gang warfare and destroying the fabric of the community.
The Crips and Bloods have staked out a significant portion of the cocaine trafficking business in this country.
We're outmanned. We don't have enough people. Nobody's got enough people to manage the situation.
You had doctors, nurses, dentists, everybody just was like, look. You've seen it start ruining the streets, start ruining families.
My 16-year-old, if he doesn't stop, is going to end up getting killed or kill somebody and end up in prison.
There were families where the mother or the father was unable to take care of and provide for their children because they were so strung out.
We'll just get the baby from you.
Crack was addictive. I mean, super addictive, way more than the powder. And it just swept through the neighborhood.
Spread your legs, man.
It also came with a tremendous amount of violence. Then LA got really, really dangerous,
This gang member and two buddies were smoking crack cocaine in a garage when a rival gang drove up and shot them. 20 minutes after these pictures were taken, Lorenzo Crosby was dead.
There were, young kids on the block selling this. You get a sack and, you start flipping it. You have to protect your spot, so there's gunplay. There's gang warfare. It's really a dark place to be. It's surreal.
Eric Eazy-E Wright was one of those dope dealers.
Well, before I was doing records, I was into everything myself, and the gangs, the drug situation, everything.
He was out there. Yeah, he was a heavy guy, at least in our neighborhood. At least we all thought so.
Easy was brought into the drug game as a teenager by his cousin, who was a dealer in Compton. But when that cousin was gunned down on the streets, Easy decided it was time for a career change.
And so, I figured I could do something else or I end up, dead myself or in jail. So I figured, I had a little money, I put my money to, use, and I started a record company.
Records. Easy reached out to his childhood friend, Andre Young.
Dr. Dre.
He had become a hot local DJ under the name Dr. Dre, and he was fronting an R&B group called the World Class Wrecking Crew.
Rock your party, wherever you be, calling Dr. Dre to surgery.
We would want to put on a show. We didn't want to just come up and just DJ, We would put on, I would put on like a shiny doctor's outfit with the stethoscope and the whole thing and come up there and put on a show. It haunted me later, but, that's what we did then.
Me and Dre was in another group. I'm not gonna say the name, but
World Class Whack Crew.
World Class Wrecking Crew.
we all was in some weak groups. It was a different kind of music. Even our clothes, costumes we wore. We was appealing to the women back then. So we wasn't hardcore. Not by far.
Dre and his bandmate DJ Yella wanted to move away from funk and dance-based hip-hop.
Here it is, bam, and you say damn.
Toward the harder street-based raps of Ice-T, Schoolie D, and Public Enemy.
I'm talking about.
I wasn't happy with where I was. I wanted to go off and do my own thing, but I didn't have the money to do it, so there were a couple of people that I knew that had the kind of money that it would take to do what I wanted to do. And Eric was one of those people.
With Easy's money and Dre's producing skills, they planned to create their own label, so they started looking for local talent. Their first recruit was a teenage rapper named O'Shea Jackson, who called himself Ice Cube. He was in a group called CIA.
Now Ice Cube get busy, my girl.
Next thing I know, I'm ditching school to go hang out with Dre, We're trying to come up with concepts and songs, and he liked me as a writer and as a rapper.
Don't get paid, but that's all right. I got the riches of the king when I hold the mic.
We became real close friends. We started hanging out a lot. So what he would do is come up to the spots that I was DJing and MC sometimes.
So what we did was took a familiar song and flipped it and made it dirty and cussed in it.
For instance, I can remember us doing My Adidas.
My Adidas.
We redid the beat and changed it to My Penis. And Cube would go out there and sing that and have the crowd laughing,
Penis. And hearing them and how popular those were starting to get in the streets, Easy was like, yo, I want them kind of raps. Write them hardcore raps for my groups.
One of Cube's earliest assignments was to write a song for a New York group called HBO. He came up with a violent manifesto about life on the streets of LA called Boys in the Hood.
So I wrote it and gave it to them, and they hated it.
They looked at it, they were like, this ain't us. We can't do this. This is West Coast lyrics. We don't even know how to say half this stuff.
It's like, what are you talking about? What is the 6-4?
Guys left, and I looked at E and I was like, look, man, why don't you say it? He's like, man, I don't know how to rap. I never did this before. This ain't what I'm here to do, You
crazy. Trey was like, no, I ain't crazy. So I'm like, man, y'all on some old mad scientist stuff right now.
So he said, turn the lights out. I turned the lights down. He put on his dark glasses because he was like super embarrassed to do it, even though it was just me and him in there. It was funny. I remember just like punching in each line, cruising down the street in my 6'4", jocking the freaks. Each line was punched in through the entire song. It took us like 8 to 9 hours to get it done.
But when I heard the finished record, I was like, damn, I looked at Dre in amazement. It's like, yo, you turn this dude into a rapper.
Cause the boys in the hood are always hard. You come talking the trash, we'll pull your car. Knowing nothing in life but to be legit. Don't quote me, boy, cause I ain't said it.
His voice was so unique and so different. It just like started the ball.
A clean version of Boys in the Hood made it onto the first hip-hop station ever, LA's K-Day.
I put it on the air within 24 hours. It was our most requested song.
A car pulls up, who can it be? A fresh El Camino rolling Kilo G. He rolled down his window and he started to say, it's all about making that GTA.
It was a huge record, and what they were saying,
It was just what was happening in the streets. The drug dealing and the murders, and nobody was doing it like that.
With Boys in the Hood, they had stumbled upon a formula that would help define a new genre of music called gangster rap and put LA hip-hop on the map.
It was a whole other vibe. It was a voice like, you know, this is LA, this is where we're from, this is what we're about. And then people from LA, we loved it because they were giving voice to stuff that we knew about on the block, but we never heard it in the music.
The success of the single convinced them to form their own group. So they recruited another local rapper named MC Ren, and they chose a name to match their hardcore vibe.
It was like, you know, what we gonna call this group? And I was like, what? He said, N.W.A. Like, what that mean? He said, niggas with attitudes. I just fell out. I said, I love it. I said, hell yeah. Black people taking that word and trying to use it instead of getting abused by it. That's it.
We thought we were just like the ultimate at that time because each one of us were the best at what we did around our block, you know? Let's put this all-star group together and we're gonna show them what's up at the park and what have you.
Dangerous group.
N.W.A. was born out of Compton's crack epidemic. In 1987, gangs and drugs had overrun the streets of their hometown.
Hey man, give me a hit. Yo man, okay. We just can't quit. Suck this bitch.
And the LAPD was taking an increasingly aggressive approach towards law enforcement.
It was gangbanging all around. We felt the pressure from the police, you know, them kind of harassing people.
You the guy who ran the other night? No, it wasn't you.
LAPD had an answer to the gang problem. They called it crash. And what they would do is, if you was on the corner, if you was in front of a liquor store, you know, you went to Winchell's Donuts, they'd just hem you up and they'd put you right on the curb.
Front of the car. We take them to jail for anything and everything we can.
They would just swoop up loads of black and Latino youth.
Okay. That's not necessary, man.
The stereotype is all young blacks that dress a certain way are gangbangers. That's what we're dealing with, and it's unjust.
It was terrible. I mean, they used to beat you up.
Don't beat him up! Don't beat him up!
They take you on a long ride, get in the back of the car, take you around the building and, you know, beat you down and then bring you back.
Take you in one of them alleys and...
Because we look like we might be participating. Everybody who looks, you know, looks can be deceiving, you know.
Yeah. It was an incredibly harsh and wild and scary, crazy environment for someone growing up in South Central to deal with.
All my rights have been violated. They threatened to shoot me in the head.
And so it was only inevitable that the music would eventually begin to talk about it.
In early '87, N.W.A. was converting street life into songs with a lineup of the best local rappers and DJs.
We were supposed to be an all-star crew that nobody can touch in our neighborhood.
Yo, it's MC Ren, the Ruthless Villain.
Ren was going to be one of the top MCs. He was going to be the front man.
Ice Cube, the gangster.
Cube, of course, was going to be another front man.
Dre, the one and only doctor.
Dre, of course, brought the production skills and the good music.
Yellow Boy's in the house.
Yellow would help Dre mastermind this music.
My name is Easy. Word, this is true.
Easy was our character of the group. He was supposed to be the wild one that would put on the glasses with one lens out, or step up in the bulletproof vest, or put on a Jason mask and come on the stage. He was our character.
In March of 1987, Eazy-E paid a friend for an introduction to Jerry Heller, a 47-year-old music industry veteran known for managing pop acts like Elton John, Van Morrison, and Journey.
He pulled up in a Suzuki Samurai all tricked out. He had his dark glasses on and his jerry curls. I was sort of taken back by how diminutive he was, but he was clean. I said to him, "You got something for me to hear?" He just said, "Yes." He played me Boys in the Hood. It was a track that just stone cold blew me away. I thought it was the most important song that I had heard in over 25 years.
The boys in the hood are always hard.
I just thought the power of it And the rebellion of it was something that was a lot different than anything I had heard before. And that day, March 3rd of 1987, was the day that we started Ruthless Records.
Easy would own Ruthless Records, and Jerry would manage it. They went into the studio and started recording N.W.A.'s debut album, Straight Outta Compton. It was finished in 6 weeks for just $8,000.
We wanted to just do it how we felt it and say what we wanted to say. And, you know, we did it really for the hardcore underground fan. We never knew that the music would even see the light of day as far as mainstream at all.
So you better get back unless you want to come with it and make your face like a target and close your eyes when I hit it.
At the time, hardcore rap was considered unmarketable, and none of the major labels were even interested.
For many years, I had done business with the chairman of the board of Capitol Records. I played him Straight Outta Compton and Boys in the Hood. And he looked at me and he said, you know, Jerry, you got to stop getting high because that is just crazy. He said, nobody will ever buy that. No one will listen to it. No one certainly will ever play it on the radio.
Hella's last stop was Priority Records, an upstart label whose biggest success was a release by the California Raisins.
So he came out and played me, I think maybe 3 or 4 songs.
Almost wrecked my
The lyrics alone were incredibly controversial. Very hedonistic, very, you know, violent.
Called her a bitch, 'cause that's the rule. What you calling a bitch? Boys in the hood trying to keep me cool.
I thought it was just purely theater. And I couldn't believe that this actually, you know, the things that they were talking about actually happened. And I'm Canadian. And then when I questioned Cube, asking about it, we discussed it. And he goes, "What are you kidding me?" He says, that happens every day. And that moment was an epiphany for me. And then I thought, you know what, if I have that experience and I'm an adult, I can't imagine how far this is going to go with, you know, young white males who are going to learn a whole other experience of what life's like.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Priority agreed to release Straight Outta Compton, and Easy's solo debut, Easy Does It, back to back.
Straight Outta Compton is a crazy brother named Ice Cube from the stupid dope gang with an attitude.
National radio wouldn't touch their music, so they shot a video for Straight Outta Compton and submitted it to MTV. In the video, N.W.A. simply wanted to show what life was like for young black men in Los Angeles.
You better cut down, 'cause Ice Cube a damn so.
But MTV rejected it, citing excessive violence.
Some Compton rappers are going head-to-head with MTV because the music channel has refused to play their video.
On MTV, they play heavy metal music. They show people worshiping the devil and all this. So when we bring out a video telling the truth how it is on the street, to show everybody so they can be aware of this, they don't want to play it. They say we promoting violence, promoting drugs. I disagree with that.
Straight Outta Compton, a brother with his finger on the trigger. But once I take out, my rep gets bigger. I'm the ruthless villain and you know this. But the suckers in the public won't show this.
I think they were just afraid of it because it was just in your face and it was like really raw. And if you're like a white programmer watching that video, you're like, oh my gosh, you know, this gives you pause. You know, it's not, you know, the moonwalking with the leather glove. It's like a whole other thing.
Easy is his name and the boys coming.
Straight Outta Compton.
You look at it now, it's like, it's hilarious because it's like there's no violence.
Dangerous young brother racing hell. They never ever get caught. I make bail.
Just the very nature of being a young black man with an attitude, representing a force that the police department and society was trying to just basically keep under wraps, was scary enough that people that were making decisions were like, okay, this is not going to be acceptable for kids to watch. But what they did was, by doing that, they just made the kids want to watch it that much more.
I hear people talking about pulling out AKs, talking about a little girl being shot, but I don't care because I'm not a fool.
What about the girl who got shot? I don't think I give a damn about a girl. I ain't a sucker.
It all boils down to anybody can get shot. Anything can happen to anybody, and we just letting everybody know this is how it is.
They were very articulate in defending what it is their lyrics are all about.
That's the way it goes in the city of Compton, boy.
And the more controversy and the more press we got, it further fueled our our determination to make this thing happen.
For N.W.A., the controversy had only just begun.
We were like, okay, what can we do that's gonna piss people off? You know, we were actually trying to see how far we can push the envelope.
You put the dot on your target, then you blow the out the no joke.
The world's most dangerous group.
While N.W.A. was courting controversy in 1988, the LAPD was escalating its war on drugs in South Central Los Angeles.
1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out. This is dead, and I'm looking for a window to get out.
Police Chief Daryl Gates called it Operation Hammer.
My message to all rock dealers is get out of business and get out of town.
In Los Angeles, the war on drugs has so escalated that police last night began using a tank.
They had these tanks, and the tanks were like, see a suspected crack house, and they would just ram down the house.
Lawmen said gaining entry through fortified and barred doors too often gave the suspects time to destroy evidence. So, in seconds, part of the house was smashed in, and then a charge thrown to stun those inside.
And they would knock on the door, they'd actually just roll into your house and just destroy the whole wall. And it just destroyed the hood. I mean, it was crazy.
Last night, no rock cocaine was found, but undercover agents had bought it here earlier.
Oh my God! Look what you guys did. Mistaken identities in some cases, so you never knew when they was gonna roll the battle ram up in your mama's house.
It's horrible. Those kids was in there. They could have been killed.
The police, they victimize the victims, so nobody trusted the police.
I remember a big media event was the first ride of the battle ram, and Nancy Reagan rode shotgun.
You wish that somehow somebody could have gotten a hold of them sooner.
So you had Nancy Reagan sitting next to Daryl Gates conducting what was in essence urban warfare.
It just got scandalous. Now what you do is you hear N.W.A. and they telling you that. You know, it was total rebellion.
Like, we got a real controversial song coming out called The Police.
What is that talking about?
Self-explanatory. The police. The police.
You for no reason at all, because you black, you got a little bit of money.
And we getting back at them.
Beepers,
all police ain't bad police, just like 90% of them.
Police coming straight from the underground. A young nigga got it back 'cause I'm brown.
I was thinking about that song a long time. I mean, a long time.
Come with me 'cause I'm a teenager with a little bit of gold and a pager.
Snatched out of my car, guns to my head, on the freeway, laid down, little everything. I mean, that's how we did the song.
Searching to get down and grabbing his nuts, and on the other hand, without a gun, they can't get none.
You know, you usually don't have no voice, nobody can hear you scream, kind of. Here was a way where we could take all that pain, frustration, put it on a song, and scream it.
A young nigga on the warpath, and when I finish, it's gonna be a bloodbath. Oh, cops dying in L.A. Yo, Dre, I got something to say.
It was this aggressive, nihilistic, black militant rage.
But take off the gun so you can see what's up, and we'll go at it, punk, and I'ma fuck you up.
That same rage you saw back in the 60s be articulated through the Black Panther Party now was being articulated in the streets through this music.
This is what I'll say.
And it definitely pissed off the man. In August of 1989, the band received a letter from the FBI denouncing the song and accusing N.W.A. of inciting violence against law enforcement.
Basically, it said that we were responsible for the deaths of law enforcement officers the previous year. So it was a very chilling document.
We like, y'all scared over a letter? So have y'all ever dealt with the Lenox sheriffs? You know what I mean? Y'all ever deal with the LAPD? Ever deal with the Campton police? And y'all worried about a letter? Man, don't call us up here for this.
These people aren't doing anything but capitalizing off of death and violence, and it's something that we should not want to promote or tolerate.
You know, I'm seeing FBI agents on the news talking about N.W.A. You know, that's when I knew, you know, we had something.
Rap music promotes, by its very language and by its very actions, promotes violence against authority and consequently violence against law enforcement.
When the FBI has your name, you know you doing work. You know you making a difference.
They wanted to shut them down, but you can't shut down rap music. You can't shut down the experience of the black American in the ghettos. You can't shut that down with a letter. I do way better than that.
The letter from the FBI became a badge of honor for N.W.A. They became the new poster boys for freedom of expression.
We don't tell you what to do and we'll tell you what not to do. You got your own freedom of choice.
The press would give them the national exposure they needed to break into the mainstream.
They say we bad influence, we promote violence and everything. Number one is we don't. It's just like they try to hide what's going on and we tell it like it is, you know.
I think that the youth of the world was able to see that this was a totally uncompromising group.
We got a lot of flack, you know, on the song we said about the police, you know. We ain't talking about all police, man, but there's bad police out there.
We were able to exploit the controversy, if you will.
What does N.W.A. say about education in the black community?
All the press covered it.
We don't say nothing about education. We're like, you know, news reporters. We're telling exactly what's going on the streets, you know? That's all it is.
You know, we educate them
street knowledge.
It was a press-driven, word-of-mouth and marketing campaign that resulted in enormous sales.
In the summer of '89, N.W.A. was a group MTV could no longer ignore. The network agreed to air their new video, Express Yourself.
Yeah, welcome to Yo MTV Raps, Fab Five Freddy in Richmond, Virginia.
Yo, the next video is called Express Yourself by N.W.A. on Yo
MTV Rap.
Believe that.
The video was a gentler, but no less potent expression of rebellion.
It's a deep video if you think about it. You've got the cotton fields with the overseer matched with what's happening in the street with uniformed police on horseback.
All you got to do now is express yourself. I'm expressing with my full capabilities, and now I'm living in correctional facilities. Cause some don't agree with how I do this. I get straight and meditate like a Buddhist.
It's really saying, you know, say what you want, do what you want. That's your right, you know, freedom of speech.
It's crazy to see people be what society wants them to be, but not me.
It was those guys making the First Amendment mean something to a nigga.
Or they ban my group from the radio here in N.W.A. and say hell no.
Whatever it is that you got in your mind and your heart, let the out. Express yourself.
And indirectly, they could even say, wink, wink, look what we did. We said, the police, and now you're watching us on MTV a couple months later. It worked out real well for them.
The world's most dangerous group.
Straight out of Compton, the beats are as mean as the streets, and those who can rhyme in time have found quick fame under an apt new name, gangster rap.
I'm not a role model or a Dr. Seuss, yo, I'm a gangster, and I'm about to get stupid.
In 1989, N.W.A. was rising to fame as the new voice of the ghetto.
Cause where I'm from, it ain't about all that playing. Now that's what I'm saying.
Yo, I'm Eazy-E.
Where's W.A.?
Rolling down Campton Boulevard on Yo MTV Raps.
The mainstream media that had once rejected them was now embracing them and their racially charged name.
How hard-boiled are these guys? Well, the initials stand for niggers with attitude, and here's a look at what they're talking about.
You're rolling down with Ice Cube from N.W.A.
How come there's such a hard rap sound in California? Like the hardest stuff is coming out of this beautiful place.
I'm gonna let you ride around with me and you see it's not so beautiful.
You can see a lot of crackheads hanging out at the liquor stores.
This time we're gonna teach about the streets. You know, so we're gonna walk the people who come from the suburbs and all that. You know, we're gonna teach them what really goes on down. You know, instead of just telling them, we're gonna teach them.
They hit points that everybody in these neighborhoods can relate to.
The controversy over their music had opened the door to gangster rap, exposing it to suburban America.
There is no question in my mind that N.W.A. was and is revolutionary.
Here's a little something about a nigga like me. Never should have been let out
They took the voice of the young black man in America in the 80s, and they allowed that voice to be heard by people all over the world.
I was excited about it. You know what I mean? I'd play it everywhere I was. I mean, I can actually remember the irony of it, you know, playing it for my mom, saying, "Mom, you gotta hear this."
Taking a life or two, that's what the hell I do. You don't like how I'm living, well,
She's like, "Oh my God, all these curse words in the, oh, what is," I said, "No, but you don't understand. This is what's really going on right now. This is what," and my mom's like, "Turn that off."
Everywhere we go, they say, damn, N.W.A.'s messing up the program.
It scares the hell out of the parents. But the kids like it because, wait a minute, I finally found something that can really piss my parents off.
Yo, tell them what they yelling.
I like the bass beat and I like the message that the rappers are putting out now.
It's expressing exactly how black youth are feeling today.
With little to no radio play, Straight Outta Compton had sold 1 million copies in less than a year. Eazy-E's solo debut, Easy Does It, went platinum even quicker.
Another example of how Easy does it.
They were the hottest thing in hip-hop, headlining a nationwide tour. And Eazy-E in particular was taking full advantage of fame.
The funnest part of the tour was the point system. Every point is a woman. Eazy-E, of course, had the most points.
What's up? I wear my pants like this for easy access, baby.
When Eazy got to 10 points in one day, it was over. Point system is done. Okay, we quit. We can't hang with you.
I like the I don't know about you guys. I like it.
Eazy used to call himself a thrill seeker, meaning he would just bareback, you know, have sex without condoms and what have you. So he called me and Cube rats, rappers against thrill seekers.
What's the best thing that's been happening at the party so far? We just got here a little late.
Women! The best thing that's gonna happen at this party is the wet t-shirt contest. Come on.
89, I mean, you know, you didn't care about nothing. I mean, nothing. Women, protection, almost unheard of, you know.
Girls up here, they naked. God, it's crazy.
It was just everything goes.
But not everyone was as content as Eazy, who as owner of Ruthless Records was raking in hundreds of thousands of dollars.
You know, Eazy would be eating lobster, and Dre and Yella and Ren and Cube would just be eating McDonald's, just trying to survive.
Does success change your life at all? I mean, are you going out and bought a Mercedes yet, or are you?
Nah, man. I still got me a little Jeep. I'm at my mother's house.
Ice Cube claimed he had only received $32,000 in royalties for his work on Straight Outta Compton and Easy Does It.
More money was coming in than I had ever made, but it wasn't all the money I was supposed to get.
So when Jerry Heller showed up on tour with a $75,000 check for each member, Cube was suspicious.
We looked at these checks like, whoa, you know, nobody has seen that much money at once.
Yeah, it was a lot of money. I needed that money. I wanted that money.
They were like, but you know, you guys are not officially a group yet because we had never signed anything up to that point. You know, they say, but you're not a group. In order to get these checks, you guys have to become a group and sign these contracts.
I told Jerry Heller, I said, that $75,000 is mine anyway, whether I sign or not. I did the record, and he was like, nope, you ain't getting it unless you sign it. I just felt like that was shady, and I wasn't signing it until my people seen it.
I think that he got what someone at his stage of his career would have gotten, and certainly was consistent with the NWA deal with Ruthless Records. And he decided that was something that was no longer appropriate for him. And, you know, because of that, there was a parting of the ways.
It was kind of like, why you ain't signing a contract, you know? $75,000? Broke as we been.
So a big argument happened, and, you know, we were looking at him at the time like, you know, you turning your back on the group.
You know, I felt like Jerry and them dudes was poisoning everybody in the group on that. I didn't want to be with the group, and I didn't care about nobody and all this kind of stuff. So when I started feeling that they was buying into that and believing that, I was like, yo, it's time for me to bounce.
When the tour ended, that was the end of Cube. He was gone, done. Didn't look back, Nothing.
The world's most dangerous group.
On March 3rd, 1991, an African-American motorist named Rodney King was videotaped being beaten by a group of Los Angeles police officers.
I think it has been devastating to the image of this city and especially to our police department.
Glad I'm not dead, that's all. 'Cause, you know, they could have very easily killed me.
For N.W.A. was a graphic example of the kind of police brutality they had been rapping about.
That was Police Part 2 rolling every single day on television, and these guys basically prophesized that.
A lot of people didn't understand at the time. And then when this Rodney King situation happened, everybody opened their eyes and they was like, oh, that's why they did the police, and they understand now.
Yeah, it was a little vindication. We felt like finally, you know, somebody had a video camera on this. What we were saying, we wasn't doing nothing but telling the truth, really. Just did it in a hip-hop way.
Grin is the villain, and you're just a hostage. So whenever I'm stepping over your head like an ostrich, groupies been waiting for this, suckers been hating for this. You know why? Cause so many y'all relating to this.
N.W.A.'s ghetto message was now being heard on a large scale.
Pumping the music, I keep the music like pumping, cause Ren ain't in it for nothing, I keep the average crowd jumping.
They had crossed over into the pop mainstream, selling more than 3 million albums.
I'm not scheming, I'm just telling the facts. That's how it is when N.W.A. starts to jack.
But the success produced casualties. Ice Cube had quit the group over a financial dispute.
I saw him somewhere, and he was like almost a pariah. You know, people were like, you left the baddest group, the baddest rap group around, and they were like, nobody knew what Ice Cube's future was gonna be.
Yo, 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 Ice Cube lynch mob in the house.
In February of 1990, Cube headed to New York to record his solo debut, America's Most Wanted.
I wanted a new sound, you know, I wanted to come out here and put it together. Now it's gonna blow up.
Then Cube was cast in John Singleton's movie, Boys in the Hood.
Boys in the Hood was originally written for the whole group of N.W.A. to be those guys on the porch in the movie. But out of everybody, Ice Cube was the only one that took me seriously when I said I was gonna make a movie about the hood.
With Cube's star rising, N.W.A. was eager to show they could succeed without him.
Taking over in the 90s.
So they quickly released the EP 100 Miles and Running, calling out Cube on the title track.
How have things changed since Ice Cube left?
Bettered.
Yeah, it got better. Really. It's way better. You know, because there ain't no ego trips in the group anymore.
I kind of couldn't believe it because everybody knew why I left and everybody claimed that they respected that. You know what I mean? But I see that they didn't.
Do you think you guys can ever make peace with each other?
No peace. No peace.
So I looked at it like they're enemies now.
But Cube wasn't the only one who was having problems with the N.W.A. financial situation. As Dr. Dre began to produce the group's second full-length CD, Niggas for Life, he was starting to have doubts about his future with N.W.A.
We put this shit together, you'll see what I'm talking about.
You know, there was tension all through that album.
But that's the whole build up of the song. You don't understand it, man. Man, I'm doing it.
It was tension like the manager is screwing us over, you know, you're gonna have to fix this and that. We were just arguing back and forth about the business. Before our arguments were who was gonna say what on the track.
Niggas for Life was released in May of 1991 and rose to #1 on the Billboard pop charts.
I got a taste for waste and a taste in the blood. Murder, I heard her when she screamed and dropped cause the sun caught the slug.
It was the first hardcore rap album ever to do so.
This was astonishing for a lot of people because rap was still looked at as this thing that it was a fad, it was still gonna fade away.
Check it out, y'all, in the house, y'all, so I can show and flow and let the people know. So won't you ease on down to the yellow brick road to Campton.
So when Niggas for Life became the #1 album in the country, people said, wait a second, this rap stuff really can do a big business.
Number 10, my appetite to kill.
The album's success solidified gangster rap's place in pop music.
We will not stand.
But it generated another violent reaction from conservative critics.
They're just thugs and hoodlums, and they just want to, you know, say whatever they want to say and get away with it.
Yo, I tied it to the bed. I was thinking the worst, but yo, I had to let my niggas the first. Yeah.
Various state and local governments tried to ban the sale of hardcore rap, declaring it obscene.
The state attorney general in Minnesota is threatening legal action against the nation's largest chain of music stores.
This is frankly offensive to me, and any parent would find that it is nothing but filth.
Take it slow. Don't rush it. And before you know it, splash.
N.W.A. and other artists were targeted under obscenity laws, and conservative groups pressured record chains to remove the CDs from stores.
You can do it doggy style, or you can get on top.
Our position is, it's pornographic. It is not fit for children. Put it in a porno shop where it belongs and take it out of these stores.
Bitch, it's all about sweat. The money, and that's all I gotta say.
But the attempts ultimately failed, as music fans rebelled against what they saw as censorship.
I don't feel that rap music or video should be censored at all because I'm against censorship.
Okay, this is not communist Russia. This is America.
Like the FBI letter, the controversy poured fuel on the fire and sold more records and raised the profile of the group even more.
One less bitch you gotta worry about.
So do you think the government's like wasting our time and money?
Yes, they should do other things, like get everybody off the street, stop this drug problem and the gang situation, instead of worrying about a record.
N.W.A. back on the streets, yo, taking out all you commercialized suckers.
N.W.A. was at the height of its notoriety, and Ruthless Records was pulling in millions of dollars each month.
What you gonna do, Dre?
Now Dr. Dre was more determined than ever to renegotiate his deal.
Early in the morning, hopping to the B&Z, I got 44 ways of getting paid.
I'm recording platinum records and getting 2 points as a producer. So I stepped to Easy at this time and told him, look, man, I'm not dealing with Jerry Heller anymore. You know, I don't want him in my mixture.
I gotta get paid in a hurry, see. I gotta have it if I'm not paid thoroughly.
I said, look, man, if I'm gonna stay, he has to go. It's one of the two, you know. So he called me in a couple of days, and his choice was to keep his manager. I said, okay, I gotta bounce.
And that's when Suge Knight entered the picture.
Dre was the guy who doing all the music, putting everything together, who is the brain of the operation.
Suge Knight was a 335-pound bodyguard who wanted to start a record label with Dr. Dre called Death Row.
I thought he was competent enough to get business handled by any means.
And Suge Knight allegedly got that business handled on the night of April 23rd, 1991. Eazy-E claimed he was ambushed in a Hollywood recording studio and forced to sign a document releasing Dr. Dre from Ruthless Records.
He got a call from either Dre or someone purporting to be Dre saying, come on over to the studio. I think we can finally work out our problems.
And went up there, and of course Dre wasn't there. It was Suge and, you know, a nice handful of other people.
Suge Knight was there with some thugs dressed in black, and they had lead pipes. They told him that they were holding me hostage in a van down the street, and he better sign these releases.
First time he signed, I think he signed Mickey Mouse or signed something, then they roughed him up a little bit, and then they started showing pictures of his mom's house, the address, and where she lives, and he didn't want anything to happen to his mom, and, you know, he signed under duress.
Ruthless Records immediately filed a federal racketeering lawsuit claiming Dr. Dre's release was invalid. Heller said he and Eazy-E feared for their lives.
I think the guy is a serious major gangster.
And that's the reason there's a loaded semi-automatic pistol next to the bed of recording executive Jerry Heller. And another one hidden in his pants pocket.
I have guns all around this house. You know, this art form isn't worth me and my family getting killed over.
Heller Heller says Eazy was contemplating extreme measures to settle the beef once and for all.
He came to me one day and he said to me, you know, Suge Knight is going to be a problem. So I said, well, okay, so he's a problem. We have other problems. So he said, no, you don't understand. This is really a problem. He says, I think that I should kill him. So I said, let's just think about this. We're doing about $10 million a month here at Ruthless, and you want to jeopardize all that by killing someone? I said, maybe I'm just not a wartime consigliere, but that doesn't make any kind of sense to me. So literally, I talked him out of whatever he was thinking about.
But the feud between Ruthless and Death Row was far from over.
Most dangerous route.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Lawrence M. Powell, not guilty of the crime of assault.
On April 29, 1992, 4 police officers indicted in the Rodney King beating were acquitted and set free.
What's your first reaction when you heard?
It's just like a big-ass slap in the face.
They got the videotape. They showed that everybody in America, he getting beat like 56 times or 52 times or whatever. Everybody looking at it, but they not guilty. You know, all of them should be in jail for attempted murder.
Anger and shock spread through the city and triggered riots throughout South Central Los Angeles.
The city is under a state of emergency. The governor has okayed the National Guard.
This is nonsense, and they ought to stop it.
No justice, no peace.
The LA riots of '92 were the product of all of these things that N.W.A. talked about. And if you were paying attention, you could hear in hip-hop the tension in L.A. at the time.
Black Johnson!
Unfortunately, the right people weren't listening, and the riots, you know, jumped off.
If you could be seen, 149 with me, we'd like to be dispatched as a group.
6 days of looting and arson left $1 billion in damages and 53 people dead.
With every revolution, you got violence, murder, and everything else.
Members of N.W.A. were right in the middle of it.
Everybody retaliating, snatching people out of cars. Everybody doing what they got to do to get justice out here.
The country can be shut down. The whole country can be shut down. And America needs to know that these kids are willing to shut the country down for liberation.
We all die. While South LA was burning, the N.W.A. era was coming to an end. Dr. Dre had left the group to start Death Row Records after his partner Suge Knight allegedly intimidated Eazy-E into signing his release.
You can look at me and look at Eazy and say, you know, what do I need a bat, to, you know, to force him to do a few things? I mean, if I stood up tall and that Eric was, if he walked between my legs, excuse my French, people probably would think he was my penis. So, you know,
I looked at it like this. He got the releases. You know, that's how I looked at it. Let's move on and let's make something happen.
The racketeering lawsuit was dismissed and Eazy agreed to let Dre go, reportedly in exchange for a percentage of his future profits. And those profits were substantial.
1, 2, 3 into the 4. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre is at the door.
Dre's solo debut, The Chronic, featured a new rapper named Snoop Doggy Dogg and went on to sell more than 4 million copies.
Trouble cause ain't nothing but a G thing, baby. 2 loped out G, so we're crazy. Death Row is the label that pays me. Unfadable, so please don't try to fake this.
But bad blood remained between Dre and Eazy.
Eazy-E, you dropping like a brick, boy. See ya.
Dre lashed out with his song, Dre Day.
My boy.
Hey, what's up, Daddy? How you doing?
Ridiculing Eazy and Jerry Heller.
You trust me, don't you?
Yeah, boss.
Oh, no, I work for you. I work for Sleazy E. I wouldn't have it any other way. We're gonna make lots of money.
He was depicted as basically, for lack of a better term, as Uncle Tom.
Mr. Buster, where you at? Can't scrap a lick, so I know you got your gap.
Me and Easy were driving in this car, and Dre Day comes on the radio.
The hood you threw up with, homies you grew up with. Don't even respect your ass.
I'm trying to hold my laugh, but I had to look at him, you know what I mean? I said, damn, dog, you did you dirty, man. You're like, oh, man, Dr. Dre, man.
Used to be my homie, used to be my ace. Now I wanna slap the taste out your mouth, make it bow down to the road. Ganking me, now I'm ganking you, little hoe. Oh.
But then he got serious, and he was like, yeah, I don't know what's up with dude, man. You really tripped out on me, man.
That was devastating to him. You know, he and Dre had been friends, you know, for many, many years, and it made him very mad.
Just sign your name on the contract.
Easy struck back against Dre with his answer song, Real Compton City G's, taking aim at Dre's street credibility.
Hey, yo, doctor, here's another proper track, and it's back, watch the sniper, time to pay the piper.
Dr. Dre was some old little fairy dancer that did this and all that and everything else. He don't have no credit on the streets.
All of a sudden, Dr. Dre is the G thing, but on his own album covers he was a she thing. So sucker please, don't step to these Real Compton City G's.
A part of it was business and a part of it was personal, but at the end of the day, I think if you took the entourages and the middle people and took all of that aside, they could have a civil conversation, and that conversation needed to be had, but there was too many people in between.
Yo, Dre, what's up? Boy, you should have known by now, easy dope.
With Dre and Cube gone, N.W.A. was effectively broken up. So Easy got on with the business of running Ruthless Records, developing a large slate of new acts.
Say hello to Easy, hold on.
Hello? But I'm taking Ruthless over the top. I got like 30 good acts that's coming out. I got some guys called Thugs in the Harmony.
Do you find that Easy's a real good businessman? Or?
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
He's the best businessman we ever dealt with. We don't kick it with no fake brothers.
In the winter of 1993, Eazy-E even made it to the White House.
If you're cool, you know the center of attention at Washington's National Airport last night was that hot new rapper Eazy-E.
After donating to a children's charity, he was mistakenly put on an invite list for a Republican fundraiser with the first President Bush.
Republicans, as much as they're railing against gangster rap, end up inviting Eric Wright to this huge, I think, $1,200 plate fundraiser. And he says, well, what the heck, I'll buy it. He thought it was funny.
I'm not no Republican, you know, number one. And I said, okay, if I go down there, this will start some.
Eazy-E says he thinks it's cool, and it does seem to underline one truth that applies to politicians of both parties these days. If you've got the money, they've got the time.
Basically, what I did is I paid $1,500 for $1 million worth of press.
But those closest to Eazy say his biggest hope was to reunite N.W.A. for one final album.
Certainly the most important thing on Eazy's horizon would have been an N.W.A. reunion, because, you know, that was something that everyone really wanted. We used to talk about it all the time.
And when Eazy ran into Ice Cube in New York in December of '94, it was all he could talk about.
We saw each other, and then we went over and started just talking, and just kind of was talking about putting the group back together, and, you know, we was just burying the hatchet kind of to the fullest. And I was like, well, you got work to do with Dre. You get that together and y'all call me, and, you know, I'm down, you know, I ain't tripping.
But that reunion would never happen, because within 4 months, Eazy-E would be dead.
A hardcore rapper who celebrates sex, crime, and violence in his music is in a hospital tonight with AIDS. He says he has no idea how he got the fatal disease.
The news came as a massive shock to hip-hop.
Did you know he was HIV positive?
No, we never knew.
When I heard Eazy-E had AIDS, it f***ed me up. Because, you know, this is early when the AIDS epidemic was really hitting. And I think when Eazy caught it, It was a wake-up call. I don't think we were ready for it.
Easy had learned the news himself only weeks before. In early '95, he started complaining of a reoccurring cough and weakness. His doctor ordered a full panel of tests.
And I got a call from the doctor. Well, really, I got a call from him, but then he was on the phone crying and couldn't talk. And then the doctor got on the phone, asked me, was I sitting down? And then he told me, we got the test results back, and the test results came back positive. He is HIV positive. I said, okay, and it took me a minute, and he asked, are you okay? And I just remembered, you know, just sitting, crying, and, you know, I got myself together and, you know, went to the hospital to get tested.
Easy's girlfriend, Tamika, tested negative. But doctors said Easy was in the final stages of full-blown AIDS.
He just kept apologizing, because at that time, the only ones that knew I was pregnant was he and I. We got married at the hospital because he wasn't sure if he was going to make it through. He went through the whole list of, you know, who to trust, who not to trust, who to look out for, who not to look out for, apologizing for whatever negative things that he brought onto my life. And that was basically it.
On March 16th, Easy made a public statement through his attorney. That's how many of his friends found out he was sick.
Now, I'm in the biggest fight of my life, and it ain't easy. But I want to say much love to those who have been down with me, especially my brothers from N.W.A, and thank you all for your support.
It was a big press conference and all this. Then I finally got to go up the scene, and you know, I'm thinking I'm gonna talk to him, and I'm up here talking, and he ain't responding. I'm like, what the hell? You know, somebody had to tell me, oh, he's on the machine, he can't do it. I'm like, you know, that's the only thing I'm really mad at. I wish I could have got a couple of weeks earlier, talk to him, you know.
I went by to see him. He wasn't conscious. They let me go in the room and see him. But, you know, he's hooked up to this life support system, and it's like, and his chest is going up and down from this machine, you know, helping him breathe. I just looked at him, and it was crazy. And I can remember, like, the way everybody was looking, the way everybody looked, it was like, okay, it seemed like everybody just knew that he was gone.
On March 26, 1995, Eric Eazy-E Wright died of complications from AIDS. He was just 31 years old.
I mean, it was like one of the saddest days, you know, like losing a family member.
I felt real bad. I felt partially stupid, you know, because I felt like, yo, all the time, I mean, the couple of years that we spent mad at each other, it's nothing compared to the time that we spent together and had happy times, you know what I mean? So I felt bad that we, you know, didn't get to kick it and have more fun before he passed away.
I was like, I couldn't believe it. Here's somebody that I had kicked it with, formed the world's most dangerous group with, and, you know, we couldn't do that again. That was gone.
Dangerous group.
On April 7th, 1995, Eazy-E was laid to rest in a public funeral outside of Los Angeles.
I'm here today because I recognize Eric Wright. I recognize that he grew up in the streets of Compton, and brothers and sisters, it's not easy to grow up in Compton.
More than 3,000 mourners lined the streets to watch his gold coffin pass.
I mean,
wow, you had people for blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks just out there. I'm like, whoa, Pops touched a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? So it felt cool, you know what I mean, at the time, like, they loved him. Like, a lot of people loved you.
I know that he made me better than I was, as he did to Dre and Ice Cube, and all of us who were there at the beginning. We're gonna miss him very much.
To this day, think of Easy as just a real smart businessman. You know, I admired him a lot. And it's like he was like, you know, Yoda or some damn body, you know what I mean? He just knew what was gonna work and knew the steps to get us there.
They say you're the godfather of gangster rap.
I don't know, that's a title that they put on me. I never said I was no godfather, you know? And I'm just enlightening people on what's really going on. And if they want to help to change everything that's going on, they could do that.
Easy as his name and the voice coming right out of Compton. It's a brother that'll smother your mother.
20 years after the release of Straight Outta Compton, tanks no longer roll through the streets of the inner city, but the gangs and drugs remain, and the power of N.W.A.'s music remains unrivaled. Its message as raw as ever. N.W.A. is still relevant, still the voice of ghettos all over the world.
N.W.A. to me is the most important rap group. They were the ones that really brought a lot of the spotlight to some of the atrocities that were going on in the ghettos of America.
They wanted to shock white middle-class America into seeing what the problems in our inner cities were really like.
And see, this was the brilliance of N.W.A., is they really wanted to make people uncomfortable. They wanted to make people squirm. They wanted to make them just, you know, like, ugh. They wanted to make their skin crawl, and they were effective.
This stuff was intentionally made to shake the establishment. This was absolutely not politically correct. This was niggas with attitude.
This is a gang, and I'm in it. My man Dre knock you out in a minute with a right, left, you're toothless. And then you say, they ruthless.
I mean, their legacy is probably the most hardcore rap group ever created, and still hasn't been outdone.
Yo, tell them what they yelling.
In their own funky way, N.W.A. broadened the perspective of popular music and validated the experience of a new generation of African Americans.
All you got to do now is register. I'm expressing with my full capabilities, and now I'm living in correctional facilities.
A lot of people that were from Compton back in those days were embarrassed to say they were from Compton.
It's crazy to see people be what society wants them to be, but not me.
So we just said, no, we're not ashamed of where we're from. You know, it's crazy in Compton and it's ghetto, but this is where we're from, and this is what we're going to talk about.
Ice Cube, it's not for the pop chart. So where should a brother like you start expressing yourself, my boy, and show you how your track? What up? Drop English right about now.
We made it okay for every artist to do it how they feel it. You don't have to be, you know, Mr. Clean. You can be yourself. Say it how you feel it.
But you know it ain't all about wealth, as long as you make a no tune.
And that's what I'm proud of, is that we made it cool for you to do it from the heart. Express yourself.